Thank you so much, Mr. Dames. Just to go to you, Harry. Can you give us one commitment or an inspirational quote for our audience that they can take away from this discussion that we've had here today?
I think the key issue for me is that there's so much moral power in the people who are already affected and the people who are basically are representing the future generations, and linking that with the legal groups and NGOs who are actually opening up the other political alternatives that we have already ready. That is going to be very, very strong voice in our policies. We can change our policies in Europe and globally through combining those forces together.
Thank you. And lastly, to Elizabeth, can you also give us one inspirational quote or commitment that people can take away from these discussions?
I would say it's the people that will make the change happen, and it is the people who will make the leaders also make the change happen from their own capacities. But we have to keep mobilizing, we have to keep organizing, we have to keep doing what we can do within our own capacity. But most importantly, we have to keep also holding our leaders to account, because this is a much bigger problem and people are being affected right now. So we cannot afford to waste any more time in delaying action on the climate crisis. So we have to remember the people on the frontline, and most importantly, we that are greatly disturbed by this crisis, we cannot afford to not do anything. And I'm greatly inspired by the late Professor Ngare Mathai, and she has been a great inspiration to my work and everything that I do. And one of the quotes that really gives me the energy to carry on is that she says that those of us who understand and who feel strongly must not tire, and we must not give up, because the burden is on us who know, and those who don't know are at peace. So it is us who know that get disturbed and are caused to take action. So we have to keep pushing and make sure that we take urgent action and not delay any further action, because it's costing lives, it's costing livelihoods, and we cannot afford to keep betraying the frontline communities.
Thank you so much. Now, just to everyone in the panel, if you have any last words you'd like to tell the viewers at home regarding this very important topic. Dr. Boyd, please.
It was David. Okay.
Yes, I would just like to say, this event is called Peace One Day. There is no peace without a sustainable future, and there is no sustainable future without peace. We must recognize everyone's right to a healthy environment, and we must fulfill that right for everyone on this planet. For a just and sustainable future, people just want a good life living in harmony with nature. That's what we're trying to achieve.
Thank you. And Mr. James?
Yeah, well, just two very short things. One, those around this virtual table and so many other people, we have to lead on the issue, not just take the backseat. Lead, take the lead and push. And there's a second thing, which I believe is very important. You cannot lead if you do not lead by example. So we need to convince people to give the good example in whatever we do. I mean, we discussed it a bit before. I mean, having real effective CO2 compensation plans being put into place in governmental context, in parliamentary context, in any public context, it is very doable. It's just, again, a choice. And from the moment a healthy climate is a principal matter, you just do it. And then you put aside the budget that is needed to, for example, CO2 compensation plan is one example, but it is leading by example. So my point is, let's take the lead on the issue. I'm trying to do that. And at the same time, lead by example, because then people will believe us. Otherwise, they won't.
Thank you so much. Harry, if you'd like to go, please.
Yeah, and I think if you talk about compensation and talk about the overall amount of money in the world, I really think that it's a valuable and a good investment, basically, from foundations to other groups to really strengthen the voice of the people with the processes that are happening in governments and giving voice to people who are impacted on the other side of the world, but also the kind of the next generation, the people who is the most valuable for us or most important for us, which is our own children. And that voice needs a structure to be heard in the legal system, but also it needs money to be able to kind of get a stronger and louder voice in the world in the discussion. So that's part of our commitment in the Tina Antti Hörling Foundation, to try to get other foundations to really strengthen that voice.
Thank you. Sorry, just to come quickly back to Elizabeth. I know you shared your quote with us, which is not to give up. But do you, from your perspective as a young person, do you have a lot of hope for the future from the work that you've been doing so far?
One of the reasons why I keep pushing every day is just seeing how much young people and the youth movement has so much solidarity, and the fact that they are able to mobilize, to organize and make things happen. And also seeing the fact that I am inspiring a whole generation of children who are loving nature, who are being environmentally conscious. And I think for me, this is the power in being able to step up for what you love and what you believe in. And that's why every time I try to make this difference, I keep reminding people that these are human problems, and we don't have a shortage of science, we don't have a shortage of information. We have so much science and information than many years back. And so what needs to happen is to remember that this is about the human heart, the human mind, and to center the people, the love for the planet in every decision that we make today, because without having that present, then we feel so much disconnect, even in the summits that are happening today. And for me, listening to these frontline communities, listening to these stories from young people who are making a difference, is what gives me it's what gives me that hope to keep fighting, because there's so much to fight for at the moment. There are frontline communities that I need to go back home to and give hope to. And if we do not keep fighting, then this is about a future that we are trying to create that is livable, and also a future that is safe for all the children and for everyone else. And for me, this is a reason enough to keep up the fight.
Yes, thank you. Just to come back, earlier on, Elizabeth, you mentioned that you started something that's gone live on Oxfam. How else can people help you in the things that you are raising awareness for?
So the open letter that went to the COP26 and COP27 presidencies is a campaign that I will keep running forward through to COP27. And COP27 is coming to Africa, and we need the whole world to understand that it's not an African COP just because it's coming to Africa. It's supposed to be an African COP because the outcome is supposed to also represent the present needs of the African continent that is greatly impacted by the crisis. And so one of the things I'm pushing for is for the loss and damage agenda as well. And this letter, it is supposed to be handed over to the COP27 presidencies at COP27. And so I'm calling everyone to share the letter online, to sign to the letter, to keep raising awareness on what is happening to frontline communities and the need for this loss and damage finance. And you can access the letter on the Oxfam website and also on my social media platforms, and share it as far wide as possible. And this letter, together with the signatures, are going to be handed over to the COP27 presidencies in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Thank you. So I'm just going to do a quick summary of this beautiful, beautiful discussion. And we have heard that we must not give up. Whatever we're fighting for regarding having a sustainable environment, we must not give up. And we must push, because the time is now. So thank you so much to all our brilliant participants. It is clear the time is now to make access to a clean, healthy, and sustainable human environment as a human right that is for everybody, that everybody can enjoy. So remember, if you'd like to learn more about the work of any of today's participants, we have heard extensively from them. All the information is on at Climate Action Live page at peaceoneday.org.